Hey everybody out there, it's Mama G back with another lesson for kids. This is going to be a story plus a lesson, art lesson based on the story, one of the characters. This is a funny book. It's actually a compilation, which means a whole group of stories, and these are all by James Marshall. He is a pretty funny author, and he also has some great illustrations. I lost the dust jacket for this, so it's hard to see what's on here, but you'll see it soon when I open up the cover. But this is called George and Martha, and George and Martha are two really funny characters. They're these hippos, and what we're going to do today is I'm going to read just one story from it, and then we're going to learn how to draw George. So what you're going to need to do is you're going to need a piece of paper. So it can be anything. It can be a piece of lined paper. It can be a piece of paper from your printer. It can just be a Post-it note. It doesn't matter. Whatever paper you can find. And today I'd like you to get a pencil and an eraser. Usually I say just draw with whatever, but I'm going to show you how to refine a drawing too. So I'd like you to have some sort of a pencil and an eraser. So I have a mechanical pencil here, but you can have any pencil you want. And the last thing that you're going to need today is some sort of yellow coloring implement. So I have right here a marker, but if you have a yellow marker, or if you have a yellow crayon, or maybe you have a yellow highlighter, or even a yellow colored pencil, that will be perfect. So there you go. We need a pencil and eraser, some sort of yellow coloring tool, and a piece of paper. And what we're going to end up doing is we're going to learn how to draw George using simple shapes. So I'm going to give you a quick sneak peek at what we're doing, and then I'm going to get into the story. So this is George. This is what we're going to learn how to draw today. And if you look at George, he's made up out of some simple shapes and some letters. And I'll show you where those letters go when we get to it. So that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to put that aside, and let's get into it. So I saw that it's page 51. That is the story that I want to read, but every one of these stories is about George and Martha. And all of these stories are really short. Oh, that's not the one I wanted. Thought it was page 51. That's not true. Let's see where it is. Dun, 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 dun. Actually, here it goes. This is the story we're going to read today. It's called The Last Story, but here's a little heads up for you guys. It's not really the last story. It's the last story in the first part of this very thick book right here. There's lots of stories in here. So this says it's the last story, and it's called The Tooth. One day, when George was skating to Martha's house, he tripped and fell, and he broke off his right front tooth. His favorite front tooth. When he got to Martha's, George cried his eyes out. "Oh, dear me," he cried. "I look so funny without my favorite tooth." There, said Martha. The next day, George went to the dentist. The dentist replaced George's missing tooth with a lovely gold one. When Martha saw George's lovely new golden tooth, she was very happy. "George," she exclaimed, "you look so handsome and distinguished with your new tooth." And George was happy too. "That's what friends are for," he said. "They always look on the bright side, and they always know how to cheer you up." "But they also tell you the truth," said Martha with a smile. The end. So you can see these are really short stories, but what I want us to learn how to do is I want us to learn how to draw George with his brand new gold tooth. So pause this if you need to. Go get your piece of paper, your pencil with an eraser, and something yellow to color with. All right, go get them. All right, here we are back again. So we're going to learn how to draw George using some really simple shapes. And I want you to try to follow along. Don't draw too small, because then it's hard to fit everything in, but don't draw too huge or it's going to be coming right off the paper. So here's what we're going to do. First, I'm looking at George, and I noticed that his body's pretty big. That's the biggest part of him. So I'm going to start with his body. And if I look at his body, as an artist, I like to be a detective, and I say, you know what? If I were to pretend George didn't have any legs, and if he didn't have any arms, and if he didn't have a head or a hat, what shape would George be? Can you tell what shape he'd be? Yeah, he'd be an oval or a circle. I'm going to do something right in the middle. So I'm going to do a fat oval. So I'm going to figure George is about the size of my fist. Okay, so I'm not really going to trace my fist, but I can see my fist is probably about, I'll put a spot on the top here and the spot on the bottom. My fist is about that big, so I'm going to draw my oval that big. Okay, but remember, it needs to be kind of chubby. So if you draw him really skinny, it'll look like George was on a diet. And believe me, George does not like diets. You'll find that out if you read this book. Okay, so there's George's body. Now the next thing that I want to do is I want to add on his head. Now if I look at his head, okay, it is a little bit tricky because, you know, it's not just a simple shape, but I'm going to make it a simple shape. If I look at George's head right here and I pretend he has no hat, no teeth, no ears, it's kind of like a rectangle or an oval. I'm going to make it an oval. But the next thing I have to think about is the oval isn't just going straight up and down. That oval is on a tilt. Can you see that tilt? So it starts here at the top and it's an oval that kind of looks like that. So it's an oval, but almost like a rectangle. If you can see that, it almost looks like it has corners, but not quite. So that's George's head. Now remember I said George is made up of shapes and he's made up of letters. If we look at his arm right here, and first of all I have to figure out what shape it is. Well, I could make it an oval, but I actually look at this and it looks like a letter on its side. Can you guess what letter that is? To me it's the letter U if I simplify it. But now I need to figure out where does it start. It doesn't touch his head. It's down here a little bit away from his head. So here's his head and his body. I'm going to move down just a little bit more. And that little U shape sticks right straight out because he was reaching for Martha over here. So there's that little U shape. Now let's draw the other one. I'm going to also make that a U shape because I think it looks pretty much like a U shape, but it's not going straight over to Martha. It's down a little bit because he actually has a cane. So I'm going to look at it. It's not up by his head. It's kind of across from this arm right here, right over here. It doesn't touch his back either. I'm going to put it on a little bit of an angle, but it's another letter U. Look at that. There's another letter U right there. Now how about his legs? Well, you probably already know that I really like the letter U. And if I look at this leg right here, I can actually make it the letter U. I can also see that it comes right off of the front of his belly. So here's the front of his belly. But the letter U is pointing straight down. And there's my letter U. And there's another one coming off of this side over here. It's almost coming right off his back. So George is looking pretty good. We almost have him done. Now I need to get on his tail. Yep, he does have a tail. Martha, you can't see, she's wearing her skirt. George, you can see his tail. So what shape do you think that tail is? Is it an oval? Is it a circle? Is it a rectangle, a triangle, a square, a line? If I simplify that, I can say that it's a triangle. It's also the letter V. So if you know your letters, that's like a letter V. So I can make it a triangle or the letter V. It touches right here where the leg touches his back. So right there. And it's on a little angle. Look at it, it's pointing off to the side of the page, not straight down. It's not too long, it's not too fat, it's just kind of medium. So there's George's tail. All right, now we've got some tricky things to do, but I'm going to make them simple for you. We need to do his ears. His ears are not really big, and the shape is, you guessed it, another letter U, and they are upside down. But where do they go? Well, they go at the top of his head, but they don't go right up here on the very top. They go on the sides of the top. So right here, there's a little letter U. And then as we come around his head, whoop, just before it touches his back, there's another little letter U. Okay, George has got ears. Excellent. Now, let's go ahead and give George his nostrils. They're right here. They are a simple shape, but sometimes it can be tricky to draw. Don't worry if you can't draw a circle or draw an oval perfect, because guess what? I can't either. Look at all these crazy lines that I've done to try to figure it out. That's fine. But I can see that they are ovals and they're really close to the front of his nose or his face, right over here, but they're still on an angle. Watch this. So they go kind of close to the side and the front, that one, and this one's way away from the other one. There it is too, okay? And then if you want to, you can draw one inside and color it right in if you want. George has nostrils. Okay, what about those eyeballs? Well, the eyeballs are pretty easy, right? They're just dots. they are pretty close together, and they're way up by the top of his head. So if I go way up here towards the top of his head, look at this line right here. That's getting in my way. I'm going to erase that. If you guys can, you can erase that line right now too, so it doesn't get in your way. Okay, line gone. Now I can put those eyeballs in. So the eyeballs are way up here, really close together, and now George has his eyeballs. Ah, now I know what you're saying. We're still missing the hat, and we're missing those teeth. So I'm going to show you first how to make the hat. The hat is just made out of a smile and the letter M. Don't believe me? Check this out. Right at the top of George's head, I'm actually going to make, right between these ears, a smile. Look at that smile. And now I'm going to draw the letter M on top of it, but instead of a pointy letter M, I'm going to make it kind of rounded. Watch this letter M. It's kind of on its side. There's the letter M. There's George's hat, and you can put his little stripe on it if you want to. Okay? All right, now the teeth. All right, those silly teeth. If we look at them, what shape are they? Well, they're kind of squares, right? Or rectangles? Are they big? No. They're about the size of his nostrils that we drew. Also, we have to see, where are they? Are they on the side of his face? No, they're right on the very front of it, and they're kind of pointing down. So this can be kind of tricky because sometimes we want to make them going straight out, but actually they go down. There's one, and then we move up here and we do another one. So they can be a little tricky to draw, but that's how to draw his teeth. Now, that's as much as we're gonna do on him right now, because I want you guys to be able to color in with your yellow. Now, George's gold tooth. Da, 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 da. George has a gold tooth. If you want to make him a little bit more like the George that we see, I'm going to show you how to do that quick, but I'm not going to take a lot of time on it. So when I get done with it, you guys can pause it, and then you can go ahead and make those adjustments if you want. But George's face is just a little different over here. Okay, and it's a little different over here. I had to take some of that off. Okay, and I can take some of that off right there. He's got that. He has some little fingers. George's fingers. All right, George has some little toes. So they kind of come out here. And his belly, let's see. This goes right to here. And we got that. We can get rid of this line. And we can go ahead and get these toes in. Get rid of that. Rid of that. And we need to get his other fingers. So there are George's fingers. If we want to give George his cane, there's that letter U again. Look at that fat letter U. That's the top of the cane. And then he's got a straight line down. There's George's cane. And we can give him his tie. Give him that around there. And this is kind of a crazy shape right here. So we can make it a triangle if we want. That's going to be a little easier for us. And then we can make this shape. This is a diamond shape. That's even trickier. And some of it's hiding behind there. But we could do it like that if we wanted to. And then go ahead and give him polka dots or whatever you'd like to do. And there we have George. I hope you enjoyed that lesson. Go ahead and draw George. If you get a chance and you want to draw Martha also, go for it. And we'll probably draw Martha another time. I'll show you how to draw that, and maybe even some flowers and things like that. But great book. Go and check it out, and I hope you love drawing George. Thank you guys. Mama G out.